There's a line from Rick and Morty that I have not stopped thinking about.
Your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer.
Your boos mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer. It's a 3-second moment, but there's so much emotional intelligence behind that line. Let me tell you what I mean. The internet interprets this as confidence, but I think it's emotional intelligence. Let me ask you a question. Why is it that sometimes one person's comment can ruin your entire day? I think it's because we rarely ask ourselves, have I actually given this person permission to define my worth? We often absorb opinions automatically, but emotional intelligence asks us to stop and be intentional. When someone criticizes us, our brain usually goes to the conclusion that if they're criticizing me, they must be right, and something must be wrong with me. But why? We almost never stop to evaluate the source of the criticism. Imagine someone whose life you don't admire. Maybe that person constantly gossips and judges everyone and is manipulative and is critical, and maybe they lie, maybe they cheat. Would you ask them for life advice? Probably not. So why let them determine your self-worth? Rick isn't saying nobody's opinion matters. He's saying, I've seen what earns your approval. And that's different. If someone applauds dishonesty, then their criticism of honesty doesn't really carry much weight. I believe what this quote actually invites us to do is to ask, do I actually admire the values behind this person's opinion? Sometimes people think confidence means I don't care what anybody thinks. What emotional intelligence says is I care very deeply about what the right people think. And that's a huge distinction. Emotionally mature people aren't immune to feedback. They're just very selective who they accept feedback from. Emotionally mature people have a very curated and selective inner circle. They ask themselves, do I admire how this person is moving through life? Do they have values that they embody that I respect? That is what determines how much emotional weight their opinion carries. Honestly, one of the hardest lessons I personally had to learn is who to receive feedback from. I needed to realize that just because someone has a loud opinion of me doesn't mean that it's right. And it doesn't mean that they earned the right to shape how I see myself. It's very important that you ask yourself questions that help you understand whose values you align with and whose opinions really matter to you. Ask yourself, whose approval are you chasing? Have they earned that influence? Do you admire their character? Or are you just afraid of disappointing them? The next time someone's opinion hurts, don't ask if they're right. Ask if they've earned the right for their opinion to matter. Because emotional intelligence is not about shutting people out. Emotional intelligence is about being intentional and discerning who gets a seat at your inner table. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.